to join us today. My name is Sally Okogo. I'm Regional Communications Officer for Nexford University. And I also have Olamide, the Country Manager, and also our speaker for today, Felicia Odumosu. So we'll be talking about the competitive edge, finding the right job. Before we go over to that, I'll just quickly, for those who are just joining us today, I'll just give you a brief rundown of Nexford. So Nexford is a 100% online American university, and our mission is to provide greater social and economic mobility across the world to all learners, irrespective of their location, and provide them with access to high quality, affordable education. We have a global network of students from over 50 plus countries, and our network keeps growing. So today we're just going to, I'll be introducing the speaker, and she's going to speak to us on the competitive edge, finding the right job. I'll just give you a brief overview of Miss Felicia's background, and then she can go right into it. So Felicia Odumosu is the principal consultant at Talent Bureau Limited. Talent Bureau Limited is an HR firm that is focused on helping organizations find exceptionally outstanding talents. She's a seasoned recruiter, she's a headhunter, and a trainer with extensive experience in technology, fast-moving consumer goods, telecoms, and in the oil and gas sector. Felicia's specialties include recruiting, recruitment training, talent search, workforce planning, HR development, employee relations, and risk management. So without wasting our time so much, we'll just go right into it. Ms. Felicia, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Sally, for having me. Thank you for the introduction. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to having an interactive session with everyone who's joined us online. My name is Felicia, as she has said, but I'll just run you through a little bit of my background, what I've done, and what has really pushed me, and what has inspired me to start this career path. I started with a bank, and I got to a stage where I needed to chart the right path for myself. I needed to understand why I really existed, why I needed a career, and why I needed to make it in life. So I started with Societe General Bank, but my career actually picked up when I joined Guarantee Trust Bank. And when I got married and started having children, it looked like everything just turned around. But I had made up my mind to set everything straight, get a focus, know what exactly I really want. So I went on to GTB. I was there for about 2.5 years, and then everything turned around when I had my baby. After having my baby, it was a bit difficult to get back into the job market. But I decided to do something I was passionate about, which was helping people. And I thought, what do I do with helping people that would enable me to build a career, at the end of the day? So I started recruitment with a consulting firm called Untitled International. And it was a passion. I loved the fact that people would come to me for advice. I would help people get jobs, putting food on people's table. So this was a passion for me, and it was an inspiration. From there, I moved on to system specs because I really wanted a permanent role, but that wasn't coming forth. I was working at 9. I was resuming at 9, closing at 2. For me, that was interesting. So when I got on to system specs, I realized that I couldn't get that flexibility anymore. And I started the search again to do what I wanted. And that was how recruitment started. So for you as a job hunter, what do you need to do to set yourself apart? It starts with knowing what exactly you want. It starts with knowing the personality of your kind of person. It starts with understanding what problems are around you. So for me, it was about solving problems. It was about helping people get what they wanted in career. And I realized that I had that kind of background. Yes, I had a career, a good start with my career in the bank. And at a point when I started having children, it was like things were going to improve, but I didn't take that as a challenge. I kept forging ahead. So for you to set yourself apart, you need to have the generic employability skills, like team working, self-management, relying on other people, resilience, cooperating with other people, collaborative skills, knowing about information technology, not in depth, but at least you know how to handle a computer, you know how to work online. You need to have numeracy skills, you need to have communication skills, because when you go for interviews, whoever is interviewing you wants to be sure that you can connect with him or her. They want to know your personality in as much as you also want to know the personality. So it's beyond just going for an interview. It also includes connecting. What problems are they trying to solve? What exactly are you needed for as an employee? And then you need to have skills like writing, planning, negotiating, being able to organize stuff. Because when your boss is not there, who takes responsibility? You work from home now, or most of us work from home now, some of us have resumed. How can you help? What have you learned during the 6 weeks of working from home that you can apply when you get to the office? Can you cooperate with people who work from home but are not giving you reports you've asked for, but are not giving you deliverables at the right time? So those are the things you need to look at. And then we'll be looking into identifying jobs in demand. I'll just run through all the slides because I know through the questions that come in, we'll be able to address other things that are beyond the scope of the slides. So what companies are recruiting now? What jobs are in demand now? From experience in the past 6 weeks compared to the past 6 months, we realize that fast-moving consumer goods, because people are still eating despite the fact that we're home. Retail and e-commerce, people still order things online. Customer service and call centers are still attending to their clients for banks and other IT sectors. For example, an ISP would need to have customer service officials because everybody can't go to work. So those are the roles and the jobs that are in demand. Digital marketing and social media roles are also in demand. Currently, we have some jobs even out of Lagos that clients have contacted us for because we know now everybody is working from home, everybody is going digital, there's social distancing and physical distancing. How can we keep making things work even though we have a little bit of restriction? And then branding, communications, those jobs are in demand. Transportation and logistics, people need to get their goods from point A to point B. So those jobs are also in demand. We have healthcare, we've got sales and insurance, we've got IT and telecoms, we've got government and public service. Some NGOs are rising up and they are collaborating with the government to make sure that people are properly fed. So they're looking for employees with such passion to join such organizations. Agriculture and food processing is also in demand. They are looking for employees. And then we've got job in the digital and data analytics sector. So if you need to be able to identify what roles can I fit into, what jobs are in demand, even beyond lockdown, even beyond the next 2 weeks. What skills have you gathered in the past few weeks? A lot of people have been able to develop their networking skills in the past few weeks. So even though you're not going out, you're meeting with people online, you're having collaborative deals still. So now we're moving to optimizing your resume for ATS passing. ATS means application tracking system. And then for your CV to be able to go through ATS passing, there are some keywords that need to be aligned with the job role. There's work history, the qualifications, the contact details have to be in the right part of the CV. And then those keywords could be, I'm applying for an accounting job. The ATS passing will have things like bookkeeping, auditing, and other accounting terms. If I'm applying for a branding or marketing role, I would have to have key words like branding, communications, social media, marketing, and things like that. So those keywords really matter. From the questions, we'll be able to address the specific keywords containing CVs. So optimizing your resume also has to do with, you need to have the right file type. Most jobs you apply for, they tell you, send in PDF, send in Word format. So most of the time, you need to adhere to the rules or the specifications of the jobs being applied for. Also, font consistency is really, really important. If I'm sending my CV to a company and some are in Times New Roman, some text are in Century Gothic, some text are in Sans MS, and I'm thinking, make up your mind, what exactly do you want to do? Some recruiters have got eye for details, and those eye for details enable them to tell the kind of personality that you are. So if I'm trying to fill a sales role and I look through your CV and I don't see anything, I don't see any achievement in the past, I don't see figures, I don't see value you've added in the past, I don't see areas where you've met your target, it's going to be a sort of concern. So I'd rather go to a candidate who has all those listed on their CV. So most of the time, the keywords, font size, font consistency, right file type is also important. And then I'll also be talking about longevity. Longevity means how long you've spent on a particular role. It could even be related to how long you've spent in a particular organization. Recruiters don't want to employ job hoppers. No employer wants to get someone who's staying on the job for 2-3 months and then jump to the next job. So we want to be sure you've got longevity, you've got everything that needs, for you to keep a particular job. And then still on optimizing your resume, I mentioned that any job you've kept for 3 years or more can be considered that has job longevity. So if I'm looking for a role, for example, a manager, I want someone who is ready to spend a minimum of 3 years. So that at the end of the day, even if you have to leave in the 4th year, there's succession planning. You've trained others to the same position. Definitely, it's not a tech to path position, and it's not something you have to be on for a long time. But you need to be conversant and you need to be sure that you're actually adding value to your organization. So there are some extras that you need to consider. There's exceed expectations. If you've been told to have maybe a target of 10 million, exceed expectations. If you have to deliver a particular task at 2, deliver at 1, like go a minute earlier. Those are the kind of things that help you add value, and those values will be seen. I remember when I was recruiting with Antal International, I was meant to send proposals to like 5 companies, but there were 3 particular companies that I took the time, because when I sent feedback to them, they gave me a response on time, and I made sure that everything that needed to be done was done, with detail. And they had to come back to me to say, wow, you've got excellent communication skills. How can we speak with you? How can we employ you? It happens most of the time. And I'm not saying this for you to just jump up. What I'm saying is the skills will not only be recognized by your current organization, they will be recognized by clients for the same organization. So you need to be able to understand what you need to do to get to that next level. Other things are investing in yourself. Beyond the BSc you have, beyond other certifications, what else can you invest? Learn a new language. Right now, a lot of us are working from home and we're speaking with other people in different countries. I've started learning French, and I think it's something everybody needs to explore. It doesn't have to be French, it could be any language. Those things add value to you. We've had cases where clients are looking for candidates who can speak French or speak Spanish, and then we start looking all around. Some may not tell you to speak maybe 100%. The basic communication bits will be fine. So, still on optimizing your resume, your most recent job should be on top. A lot of people send in CVs and they put the recent job at the bottom. A recruiter who is looking through your CV wants to know what you've done in the past 6 months. So it should be normal for you to put your most current job at the top. And then you need to be able to quantify results. I talked about adding value to your CV. What roles, if you are a recruiter, what roles have you closed in the past 10 years? What value was it? What was your target last year? What was the target in 6 months? How were you able to meet those targets? Those things need to be on your CV. So, for example, you may say increased sales revenue by 10% or increased sales revenue by 50%. Those are the kind of keywords that should be in your CV. So how many times those keywords appear matter. And then this also contributes to the score, because the higher the keywords you have, the higher the score you get, and the closer the match for your CV for a particular role. So if I'm recruiting for an accountant, I'm recruiting for a marketing manager, or I'll say a marketing director, I'd want to see that you've been a marketer maybe for the past 5 years, and you spent a long time on those roles. So it should have given you time to coordinate other people. It should have given you time to report to someone who would have imparted knowledge in you. So those keywords must appear in the job title. How long ago were they? So use keywords to get your recruiters or your hiring managers' attention. They want to see. Every recruiter spends like 5 minutes or 10 minutes scanning through. But once your CV is interesting and it has what they're looking for, they go to. But when it comes to ATS passing, a lot of recruiters now are getting application tracking systems, even abroad. So when you're applying for a job and you want to work at the global level, nobody sits down to look at CVs anymore. They put it in the APS tracking system and they search, okay, marketing, they check how many years of experience it has to be there, other criteria that needs to be looked into. And then you need to rehearse possible questions. In as much as you're sending your CV, your being competitive starts from the point of application to the point of the interview and to the point where you get the job. So there are lots of candidates out there looking for more opportunity, looking for better opportunities, and looking to take your position. So you need to stand out. If there's going to be downsizing, I don't expect someone who's competitive and who's adding value to the organization to be told to go, except it's a general, downsizing. But even at that, it doesn't stop you from getting a job. I remember when I left the bank, I realized it was tough getting into the bank again, but you can chart a path for yourself. It does not have to be compulsory for you to work in the bank. What skills do you have that can be transferred to other sectors? So that's where transferable skills also coming. And then you need to have leadership skills. That won't be seen on your resume, but as you go for interviews, it would come up through interview questions. So always write a cover letter and address it to the right, person in charge. For example, you've applied for a job and at the end it stated, please send a resume to the hiring manager. That's a cue for you to send to the hiring manager. Because we get a lot of CVs. Imagine somebody sending a CV, no text, no introductory, just sending your CV with a blank page. For me, you haven't taken the time to deliberately apply for that job. You're just forwarding your CV everywhere. But if you take the time, even if it's 10 lines, tell me why you need to apply for that job. Tell me why you need to be considered for the role. And ideally, your resume shouldn't be more than 2 pages. So that time they tell you, send your CV, so send the CV. When you're told send your resume, there's a difference. So you're told to send your resume and you're sending your CV, that is enough to even screen you out of the application because 1 million people are applying for the same role. So how do you set yourself apart? Some will tell me, look, we've told them to send their resume. So anyone sending CV is already screened out of the interview process. So you need to have attention to detail concerning the roles you're applying for. And then for you to have a resume, you can use bullet points. So stick to simple bullet points, not having thousands of bullets and not having chunks of text at the end of the day, but ensuring that the key points, achievements, your experience, your responsibilities, you don't have to put all the 10. There's a way you can summarize each role that you've worked at. And then to stand out, you need to have video applications. A lot of clients will tell me now, I'm supposed to be 10 candidates, but see, they can't move around like they used to. So what do we do? And we suggested video applications for about 3 to 4. Some are having Zoom interviews, some are having other interviews on the phone. But believe me, phone call interviews, video applications have come to stay because it reveals your communication style. In the case where you can't be met physically, the client or the employer wants to know what kind of personality do you have. It really helps them to match you to their culture. So if you're being spoken to and they ask you, why do you want to live where you currently are? And you're able to give to them, your expression is being noticed, and then the way you react to questions is also being taken note of. So don't recite your resume, and don't just work from the basic script, and don't cram anything, don't read from it. It's something you've done for a couple of years, even if it's a year, something you've done every day for 365 days, I'm sure you'd have been able to master. So those are the things they look out for. You want to be sure you are the right fit, you're the right match for the job. So those things make you stand out and they make you competitive. Video application should be clear. So if you're sending a video application, send to someone to help you review. Ensure that the headshot is right. Ensure that your communication, is clear. Ensure that the video is not too noisy. There's no noise in the background. Ensure that everything is, you can record and record and record over and over again until you get it right. So plan, organize, and edit your video applications properly. So with video applications, it is very important to have, a still background. Ensure that there's no cats jumping up and down. Ensure that there are no children jumping up and down. Though sometimes you can't help it, but even if a child jumps into your interview, there's a way that can be managed, and whoever is interviewing you should understand. But I would advise, if you're having a meeting, if you're having an interview, just ensure that everything is as quiet and as comfortable as it can be. So body language matters. You have to look very, very professional, and then keep eyes focused on the screen. Yes, people move around while you're talking, but keep focused. And then no cleavage, no slouching, no distractions, because we need to also emphasize this. If clients are professional and they're looking for people who are professional, with all this in the video, no one is going to show. So that these are the things that make you stand out and become competitive. Ensure that there are no half headshots. Make sure the whole screen captures the essence of the video. Get your camera angle right. If you have to reshoot, like I mentioned before, you have to do it over and over again. Another thing, you need to leverage your network. How many of us have updated our LinkedIn profile in the past 6 months? Have you posted anything? I'm not saying just post anyhow, but ensure that you post relevant things, things that would add value to other people, things that would encourage other professionals. So you can contact recruiters directly by yourself. Just introduce yourself to them. Be confident. Contact companies you admire by email. So this takes a lot of research. I know questions are coming in, and I'll soon round up. You need to demonstrate that you are keen and professional. I'm not saying make a call every day to follow up, because they also have a lot on their plate. They have a lot they're dealing with. They want to be sure that they're hiring the right person. So promote yourself, promote your skills, promote your services on social media. Some clients want to be sure you have entrepreneurial skills. They want to be sure you can handle and take ownership of stuff when they're not around. Update and change your status as often as possible. Let your employees or let your employers know what you are doing at each point in time. It shows them that this person is thinking, this person is creative, this person is always doing something different. So subscribe to job alerts. There's LinkedIn, there's Glassdoor, there's Divex, there's Monster.com. There are different websites. Just apply for those jobs. Ensure that your job role matches whatever it is you're applying for, because it helps a lot when it comes to application tracking systems, because your CV needs to pass through. If you're sending jobs, applying for jobs and you don't fit into the rules, you won't get called. So you need to stand out. So follow companies that are interested in you, that are interested in social media is also very important. I'm a marketer, for example. What company would like my kind of skills? What companies would be interested in hiring me? Those are the things we need to look out for. What companies are hiring marketers right now? I can mention 10 companies that are looking for marketers right now. I can mention 2 that are looking for medical personnel. I can mention 5 that are looking for marketing and communications, even outside of Nigeria. So you need to understand, you need to do a lot of research to know who's recruiting who and at what time. So you can also join professional groups and associations to know who's recruiting, to know who's hiring, to know who's firing. Okay, so you need to understand so that you're not jumping into an organization where it's a yearly thing for looking for people who are redundant. I've mentioned resume and CV. I'll just mention the major 2 differences. There are other differences between the CV and the resume, but I'll mention these 2 because they're the most important ones. A resume is a brief summary of your skills and experience, over 1 or 2 pages. A resume is also amended to suit a particular role. Now, I'm not saying amend your CV, amend your resume to fit every role. No. For example, if you are a procurement specialist and there's a role for a fleet manager, or there's a role for logistics, there's a way you can pick up 2 or 3 or 4 points from your current role and apply for that particular position. You just summarize what you've done in that light. And then for a CV, it's more detailed. It can be 10 pages, it can be 9 pages. I recently had to review my CV into 2 pages. All I did was cut off a lot of irrelevant responsibilities and I made them bullet points. So a CV remains the same, no matter what change you make to it. And then they're usually reflected in the cover letter. So the changes you make on your CV reflect in the cover letter you attach to it. So I don't know if you have further questions about CV or about resume, you can type them in the chat box as we go along. So you are the author of your life story. Start creating that life you would want to read about. And I can also say it in another way. Look inwards. You are the author of your own career path. So write that story through your CV, through the interview sessions you go for. Every employer is looking for someone who can solve a problem. Every employer is looking for someone who can build and grow with the organization. Every employer is looking for someone with experience in a particular area that can apply the same experience to their job. So you need to be actively participating in your role, even when you get employed. Tell your unique story. Have a voice. Activism has to do with your being engaged, even when you get employed. What are the things you've done before that the employer can see or you can apply to the organization? So lastly, you need to leverage every experience that will move you towards your career goals. Don't underestimate your value or your worth. You need to understand what your value is. What do you really want? Are you looking for a role where you can just be a marketer? Are you looking for a role where you're just an admin person who sits in one position? That's boring. Are you looking for a role where you can just conduct interviews or, what exactly do you enjoy doing? If you love helping people, customer service, recruitment, HR, those are the roles you should be applying for. If you love selling, the roles you should be applying for are roles that enable you to talk and meet with people, maybe customer service roles. So Sally, I think I'll just hand over to you. I don't want to take too much of your time. We'll go on to questions now.
Thank you very much, Felicia. That was a very interesting one. So we have a lot of questions for you already. Okay, are you there? Hi,
yes,
Felicia.
I'm here.
Okay,
I can hear you.
We have so many questions for you, but I'm just going to go straight to the first one. People want to know, you talked about longevity, how employers want to see how long you've stayed with an organization and what it signals to the organization. Now, my question is this, somebody sent in a question. If he has said he stayed at an organization for 12 years, does that send a wrong signal to employers? What signal does he send? He would like to know.
It sends a perfect signal to employers. One, the first signal it sends is this person is focused, this person is not job hopping, this person will stay with this organization no matter what happens. So it's a very, very good sign of someone who has longevity. It's a very good sign of someone who is not just jumping around. I've filled loads of roles based on longevity. There's a client who came from, I think he came into Nigeria and he was setting up his company. He knew he was not going to be around for quite a while. And he told me, please, I need someone who's been on the job for more than 5 years. And I got this guy who's been on the job for 12 years. And by the time we interviewed him, he told his story. So even if you don't have up to 12 years, you have 1 year, it's not about telling your story at the interview level. If you don't get to the interview level, tell your story through your CV.
Okay. All right, thank you. I've got another question here from Nick. He says, in view of the anticipated global recession and following the economic fallout of COVID-19, how can he position himself to be competitive in the job market?
Competitive in the job market. It has to do with you, the role you're currently on. I'd have loved to find out what role he's on, whether he's a marketer or he's a salesperson, because there's a difference between sales and marketing. And there's a, whether you're an admin person, are you in HR, are you, I need to know what level you are in. But I'll go with one example. If I'm a marketer right now, this is the time for me to, blow up in my career. Let me use that word. Because everybody now wants to get out there. Everybody needs to pass a message across to others that even though there's COVID, I'm still here. Even though we can't move around, I'm available for business. Even though I'm still here, I can sell to you and you can buy ice even in the hot weather. So those are the things you need to, the messages you need to pass across in whichever way. So if I know what sector you're in, it'll be easy for me to apply that.
Okay, thank you. I've got another question here. The person says, okay, he's transitioning from the public sector to the private sector. How can he communicate his career change effectively without seeming like a risky candidate?
Like a risk candidate. You work on your background. If I'm moving from a private sector to a public sector, an example again, if I'm moving from a private bank, to another bank that is maybe Bank of Industry, or maybe I'm moving into public service, what have I done in that private sector that has earned me promotions, that has earned me salary increase, that has enabled me to move from one position to the other? Those are the things that should be on your CV to let them know that even though this person is coming from this sector, he has this to offer. For example, I've been working in the bank and I need to move into HR. You can capitalize on whatever role it was you worked on. For bankers, they've got customer service skills, they've got marketing skills, they've got relationship building skills. So if you're moving into another sector like FMCG or even the healthcare sector, you can come in with the network you have in the banking sector. Those are the things you need to sell to your employer. Because I've had a case where I'd always give examples so that it's easy for you to relate. I've had a case where a client says, oh, I need a banker because I know they've got relationship management skills. I know they've got excellent communication skills, and I'm here to project my service and my business to this particular sector. So we interviewed the guy, he gets on the job. In 2-3 months, he turns the business around. Turnover increased from 10% to 50%. So tell me if you won't hire that kind of person, even though his background is different from where he's going to.
Okay, thank you. Please keep the questions coming. I've got another question here, and she wants to know if you were an employer and you had a candidate who has a 2-1, has a great academic qualification but has no experience, and you have another candidate who's got maybe a 2-2 and has experience, which one of these candidates would the employer go for? Which one would be the preferred candidate?
Without being biased, I would look at the job, the role they're applying for. And I would interview either on phone or by video interview to know the person's background. If you're a 2-1 candidate, it doesn't mean someone with 2-2 shouldn't get the same role. But how well can you deliver on the role? Another example, if I'm applying for a fresh graduate position and I've got a 2-1, I don't have any job experience. And I'm applying for another role, another candidate is applying for another role with a 2-2, with job experience relevant to the position, without any form of bias. Who would I go for? I would go for the one with the 2-2 because he has the experience I'm looking for. And I've had cases where someone with the 2-2 is not picked because the person with the 2-1, even though he doesn't have experience, the person understands data analysis, the person understands digital marketing, the person understands social media. So most of the time, it's not about the grade and it's not about the degree. Though to an extent, the grade helps, because for me, someone who has a 2-1 is smart. Someone who has a 2-2 is also smart, but how does that relate with the job? So that's how I would handle that situation.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have another question here from Oluwatobi. Toby says you talked about CV and resume. He would still like to know more about the differences. He's a civil engineer and he wants to know what is that catchphrase, what would be that catchphrase to put out on his CV that should be on his CV or resume. So could you help with that?
Catchphrase for an engineer. Are you a structural engineer? Are you a civil engineer? Are you an electronics engineer? So it depends on which one. Ensure that whatever it is you have done in the past. For example, if I'm a recruiter and I'm looking for a job, whoever is hiring for a recruiter wants to know what value you have added in the past. How many roles have you closed? How long did it take you to close the roles? How many candidates were on the job for 3 months? How many lasted for 1 year? They want to know how long. And then for an engineer, I would say, let me just go for a structural engineer, someone who works in the estate management company, and you're looking for a job in the same line. How many clients did you work with? What kind of structure did you develop? How long did that take you? Who reported to you? Who were you reporting to? You know, those kind of details are necessary. So if you're putting that on your CV, just put bullet points. Worked with 10 companies, you can list the companies under the same bullet point. It's all about summary and it's all about putting the catchy phrases.
Okay, thank you. Still more questions coming in. It says, back to your question on longevity. How long after starting a new job is it okay to look at new roles? So let's say a candidate started a new job. How soon should he or she be looking for another job?
That's a dicey one. I don't want to advise people to get stuck on a role. There are times where you apply for a customer service job where you think, oh, I've got passion for customer service. And then you get on the job, you realize it wasn't actually customer service. It was actually sales. Because customer service, you're in one spot, talking to customers, you don't really go out. But for sales, you're on the field, generating business leads. And then in that kind of position, what do? If you stay on the customer service role, you're going to be unproductive. So at that point, you should start planning your exit from that organization while you're learning what customer service is all about. You never can tell. Within 2, 3, 4 months, that desire or that passion may come up again. But don't rule it out and just say, I want to leave. But for you to be considered to have stayed long, sorry, my earpiece fell off. For you to be considered to have stayed long on a particular role, you should have stayed a minimum of 3 years because it shows seriousness, it shows focus, it shows dedication.
Okay. Thank you. I have another question from Odunayo. He says, from an HR perspective, what skills do you think people should focus on now? What skills should people acquire to fit into the post-COVID-19 economy?
So I've got about 12 skills, but they're not limited to those 12 skills. Analytical skills is one of them. How well can you analyze? For example, we haven't worked as a salesperson. We haven't worked for 6 weeks. We've done skeletal jobs. What can we do better now to make up for the 6 weeks we have missed? So you should be able to come up with data, come up with with information that would help you. Okay, we did 10 million before COVID. During COVID, we made 5 million. What can we do to increase to at least 8 million? I'm just giving a scenario. And then we need complex problem-solving skills. There are issues right now. How can we solve the problem? We don't want everybody to come to work. From an HR perspective, how can we, distribute the jobs evenly amongst everyone? Like having shifts, planning for, 2-3 weeks, who comes this week, and then people need to also go on leave. How do you plan that? In as much as people have been at home for 6 weeks, it's all about communication. So complex problem solving skills is there. Critical thinking, which objective is analyzing and evaluating an issue. Like the example I gave for not making sales and then making sales, how do you base your judgments and how do you apply, how do you address those kind of issues? Creativity is also part of it. Imagine someone in the printing industry. Nobody is printing IVs now. Nobody is going to parties. How do you leverage on COVID-19? I would suggest that you take your business online. There are lots of webinars going on. So as a printer, you begin to send emails to people who are having webinars, begin to design their flyers, begin to do a lot of things online. And then there's collaboration and cooperation with others. How do you manage people? I'm in Lagos and we're supposed to close at 3. And you're in another location where you can close at 4. And I'm expecting you to deliver something to me at 3:30. It can't happen for 3:30 because I need to move from one location to the other. So I'm commuting between that 3:30 and any other time afterwards. So you need to be able to manage. Sometimes you may be working with people in India, in Canada, in America. We have different time zones. How do you manage? How do you collaborate and cooperate when that 5 o'clock is not your own 5 a.m. You are still sleeping at that time. So it's all about managing time. And then there's also time management skills. And then emotional intelligence is very, very important. Your ability to manage yourself and manage other people. So your emotional intelligence has to do with what kind of skills should I begin to develop? Your networking skills is also part of it. So that you're networking, you know what they do in this culture, you know what they do in this country, and you know how to adjust. And then you need to have excellent decision-making skills. You need to be able to make excellent judgments. Your leadership skills is also important. How can you lead people in different locations? You're an HR manager. How do you want to manage someone in India, someone in China, and they are all supposed to clock in at a particular time, log into in a particular.
Okay, sister. Hi, Felicia. Okay, I think we lost her there for a minute. Let's just hold on. I guess she'll be back on with us soon. Hi, Felicia. Okay, so while we're waiting for Felicia to come back, we'll just do a quick rundown of her slides. And as soon as she's back, we'll talk about. Okay, so she talked about optimizing your resume for ATS passing. And because I noticed some people had questions about that. And she said you have to look out for the keywords. What were the keywords used in the adverts? That's very important. So you need to know what keywords, what buzzwords were used in the advert. And if you reflect that in your own resume, that should optimize your CV. Your work history, does it fit in with what they're looking for? If it does, then highlight it perfectly. Qualifications, is it in line with what they're looking for? Whatever it is that is in line with what the job requires, that's what you should promote ideally, just to make sure that you're in line. Some people have been asking about how long should the resume be, so for resume, one thing she mentioned is making sure you send the right file type. So for example,
Hello?
Okay, Felicia, are you back on?
Yes, I'm back on.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was trying to do your work and it's hard, I can't do it. Okay, so we'll get back to you now. Okay, I saw one very interesting question. We've been getting questions from employees, and somebody who seems to be an employer sent a very interesting question. I think that was Harold Musa. So he says he has a tech startup and they've had a high turnover of candidates. How do you determine, at the point of interviewing, how do you determine which candidates will stay with your organization from an employer's perspective?
Now, it's 2 ways. At the point of interview, what you're looking for is someone who will stay on the role for a long time, someone with longevity, let me use that word. But you as an organization needs to be sure that your goals are aligned with their goals. So there's some questions you need to ask, even though you may not be able to find out everything at the interview stage, but there are some pointers that would help you know where this person would stay. And then your culture also matters. If I'm a graduate who's just looking for an opportunity to go for 1 year and move on to the next level, there are particular questions you can ask that would help you determine what that person is looking for. So you need to plan and you need to identify what you're looking for in a particular candidate. It may be that the candidate you employed is looking for a company that is properly structured and you are just starting off, you're a startup, and 2-3 months down, they realize, wow, this is not working, I need to move on. Of course, they won't tell you, but there's some pointers I'll let you know how this person from.
Okay. Hello, Felicia. Okay, all right, we're with you now. So thank you. You've really shed light on a number of questions, and the questions just keep on coming. So I hope you don't get tired of answering our questions.
No, I'm not tired.
Here. Thank you very much. It says, as a salesperson, I've been on several jobs and self-employment roles for over 11 years. How can one make a switch back to employment? So he or she has been working for themselves as a salesperson. How can they make a switch back to paid employment?
Let's start from volunteering. You've got excellent skills. Sales, everybody's looking for sales employees, for sales employees who are sales inclined. So first, look for companies that are hiring salespeople. Once you identify those companies that are hiring salespeople, begin to contact them directly or go through a recruiter or apply for those jobs. And then begin to post stuff on social media, not for just posting, but posting genuine things. So that way, whoever wants to recruit a salesperson will realize that this person is. So start by volunteering. From volunteering, you begin to get the real contacts and then you move into paid employment. That was how I started. I started as volunteering for some companies. I worked with an IT company as a business development manager. I knew my husband was in the IT sector. So all I did was when they needed to fill IT roles, I'll get home, speak with my husband, who will speak to his friend, who knows a friend that knows a friend. And that was how I was closing the roles. And I was helping them get customers for their website. So those are ways in which you can move back to paid employment.
Okay, that's interesting. So leveraging your network comes in there.
Leveraging your network comes in, yeah.
That's really handy. So that's a useful tip. I have another interesting one about salary. Okay. It's an interesting one because, you know, there's a lot of murkiness about that here. So somebody says, how can I know if my expected salary is high or low? Like you go for an interview and they ask you, what is your expected salary? How can he know if he or she is pricing themselves appropriately?
One way to find out is do your research. There's always somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. It still boils down to leveraging on your network. You've got LinkedIn, you've got other avenues, you've got Glassdoor to check what salaries are being paid. So that's one way. Another way is getting in touch with a friend who works in the organization. And then if all those ones don't work for you, you can work from the angle of what you currently earn and just say, I'm currently on 100,000 a month, and I'm expecting that the organization will give like 20 to 25%, which is a normal increment anyone should get. So those are the ways you can, address that.
All right, thank you very much. I have another question here from Faustina. Faustina says, this is something that I'm sure a lot of people want to know the answer to. We all get those adverts where they're looking for candidates with 10 years of experience and the person must be 24 years or something, She says for a new graduate or somebody that has been self-employed for some time, how can they position and present themselves well for a job since organizations are looking for those with experiences? So say I'm a new graduate, how well can I position myself to stand a chance?
Okay, you're a fresh graduate. Obviously you have no experience, but you've got leadership skills, you've got analytical skills, you've got problem solving skills. So you can say something like, when I was in school, please ensure that while you were in school, you were a leader of a particular union or a particular study group or something that is relevant to the job. So there are ways you can apply for a role and you would get the job. Depends on the story, like I said before. Tell your story to fit into the role. Connect with whoever is recruiting. We've had a case where someone had 2 years experience and he went in for a 10 years position, a role that required 10 years experience. It all boils down to, because it was a social media role and the client was asking for somebody with 10 years of experience. And at the end of the day, what they were offering was not commensurate to what was obtainable in the market. So we told them, look, we can't offer somebody 200,000 per month, or that's 2.4 million per annum for this role. So come down to the level based on the role. And then we're able to get someone with 2 years experience, excellent candidate to fill the position. So it all boils down to how you can tell your story and connect to the job.
Okay. Thank you. Somebody has another question. He says he's a contract staff. He's been a contract staff in a company for about 2 years, and he was thinking of switching jobs just before the pandemic hit. Now, the pandemic now means that it will be unlikely to get a promotion. Do you think it will be tougher for him to switch companies or to remain at his former company?
It's better to remain there, but you need to reinvent yourself. I'd like to know what role he's on now. For example, if you're an admin person and then it's possible to be laid off, what you need to do is reinvent yourself. Look inwards. What are your strengths? What else can I do? What other skills do I have? Do I sell well? I've been able to discover some things about myself during this COVID I didn't know before. So just reinvent yourself. Spend a day or two. Sit down. Look at your strengths, your weaknesses, the threats you have, which is being laid off, and the opportunities around you. You would find something you can do. So you don't need to move from that organization now. You can start planning your exit. But while you're planning your exit, look for how you can add value to that current organization. Even though you're an admin person, make yourself available for sales meetings, or I can help you organize Zoom meetings. I can connect you with this. Leverage on your LinkedIn contacts, and other contacts and network that you have.
Okay, thank you. I think you've answered part of that, but let me just ask, somebody says, what's the best way to position for headhunting rather than random job applications? Of course, you get, as a recruiter, I'm sure you get overwhelmed with applications. So what's the best way for your CV, for the person's resume to get to be top of mind when recruiting?
For your resume to get to the top of mind, you need to have something someone else does not have. Even if you don't have something someone else does not have, you need to be able to project that someone else does not have to someone who really needs it. So I'll use LinkedIn again. You're looking to leverage and get your CV to be noticed by recruiters. Connect with recruiters, add them to your connection. The best or the worst they can say is no. If you're connecting with 10 recruiters, 10 of them cannot say no. Okay, so connect with them online, connect with them offline, ask for recommendations from friends, ask for referrals, and you would find something. There are loads of people out there who are looking for work, who have come to us, but sometimes I wish I could just flip my finger and say, you get this job, you get that job, but it doesn't work that way. So we need to keep pushing and not give up.
Okay, thank you. So one way to do that is to reach out directly to recruiters, put yourself out there, leverage your network, use LinkedIn actively. Okay, thank you. So someone has, Praise has a question. She says she's a recent graduate and she's battling with choosing a career path because she has so many interests. What would you advise somebody who has so many interests and she doesn't know what career to pursue?
An example, you like admin, you like HR, you like accounting. So just connect the dots. There's something that's in common with all those roles. You can settle for HR, you can settle for customer service, because customer service also has to do with organizing. So connect the many skills you have with your attributes, your core attributes, your traits like resilience, patience, helping other people, collaboration, connect it. At the end of the day, you will find out you fall into either finance, or customer service or HR or any other role. So just connect those main skills that you know will help you stay longer on the road, that bring out, that motivate you to do better and do more. So I think that's a good way.
All right, thank you. So we'll just take 2 more questions and then we round up. We have to be mindful of time. Somebody else, Tolulope, has a question. She says, how can I get job opportunities outside the country I reside in? And also give a brief description of what's the best way to reach out to recruiters online.
Okay, let me take the first question. How can you get jobs outside of your current location?
Yeah.
Get to network with people outside of your location. You may not, doesn't necessarily have to be LinkedIn. It could be Facebook. It could be through a friend, and they get to meet people even online. Go for webinars. Most of the webinars, that take place, you meet people. You can reach out to the host. You can reach out to the facilitator. You can reach out to the, company itself. Oh, thank you for inviting me for this webinar. I'd like to know more about your company. That's one way of finding out. So right now, what I will specify is through webinars, because we really don't go anywhere. We can't have a large gathering of people. So take advantage of the webinars you go for. For example, I've had a webinar I've been part of this webinar today. Send a message. Oh, this is what I do. I'm looking for this. If I know someone, of course, I'll recommend or I'll refer you. So take advantage of webinars and LinkedIn and other online avenues.
Thank you. So one way to do that is to make sure you attend webinars. It's a very good way to connect with people, to meet thought leaders in different industries and reach out to them afterwards. Webinars are a good way because if it was a physical event, there are a lot of people you might not even get to meet one-on-one, but a webinar is a good way for you to network with them. So that's a very helpful hint. Thank you, Felicia. I'll just take the last question now. It says, with the present situation where companies are downsizing, this from Caleb, how can those who have been retrenched get re-employed? And I know that's something that is really weighing on a lot of people's minds. With people losing jobs, how can they, keep themselves and find their way back into employment as soon as possible?
Okay. It goes back to telling your story. We've had people who've been laid off because of bad conduct. They were able to get jobs. So how much more you that was laid off because of COVID or because of an economic situation of an organization? All you need to do is, due to COVID, this is what happened, and I'm ready to go back. Tell them your story. Let them know what you have done. It will show that, oh, this person has done this and that. I really need it. And then ensure that the companies you're applying to really need your service. They really need your skill. So find out from people. You can reach out to us. Ask us what companies are recruiting now. We can give you pointers. And then we can at least recommend you or refer you. Doesn't necessarily have to be one where we get paid for. But as long as you've got what it takes, we would recommend you to such organizations.
Okay. Thank you very much, Felicia. It has really been an insightful session. You shared very great tips with us on recruiting, and we thank you for joining us today. So we had a lot of questions that people still would like to find answers to, but time is not on our side. Felicia has been very nice to tell me that I can share her contact details with you. So if you want to connect with her outside this webinar, you can send an email to felicia@talentbureauonline.com. You can connect with her on LinkedIn, Felicia Odumosu on LinkedIn. You can also find her on Instagram. So please make use of these channels. Search for Talent Bureau Online, Talent Bureau Limited, and just connect with her. She's very helpful. She's ready to help. And I'm sure a lot of people will be reaching out to you, whether you are a business person, you are an employee looking for a job, or you're an employer of labor looking for employees. She's got experience in all those areas and she'll be able to help you. So thank you today, Felicia, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure. I had fun and I learned a lot too.
Thank you very much. So for those, thank you all for joining us today. It has really been an insightful session today. This is the 4th webinar in our webinar series. Since last week, we've been having a series of lovely webinars from Nexford. And tomorrow we have another one. It will be by 6 p.m. West African time. The title is The Business of Food and Agriculture, Opportunities and Insights and our speaker will be Ndidi Nwuneli. So please try and make sure sign up for that. It promises to be an interesting and insightful webinar as well. For those, if you would like to apply to Nexford, like I said, Nexford is 100% online university. This is prime time to upgrade your career, future-proof your career skills. You can send us an email, send admissions@nexford.org with your application and enrollment questions, or you can apply directly www.nexford.org. Apart from that, we have a lovely surprise to all our new enrollees. So in partnership with MTN, we'll be giving out 45 gig free data sponsored by MTN. So if you take advantage of the offer and sign up, you get access to this. And for those who attended the webinar today, we also have a free application fee, which will be sent to you. The code will be sent to you via email. Thank you all for joining. It has been a really wonderful session, and we hope you can join us for more webinars. Thank you. Do have a nice day, everyone.